It's really hard to describe Penelope because she was an amazing person. She was very artistic, very creative. She was like a delicate flower, really, you know, that was sort of, had opened up to this world. It was sometimes a little, it jarred on her sometimes. She felt the pain of the world.
She was quite an intelligent, switched-on, educated woman, and if this could happen to her, it was terrifying to think that this could happen to anyone.
It's not as if someone simply developed cancer and then died. There's a whole different story around this, and we can't just leave it as it is. There has to be some investigation of what happened.
This was not about Penelope Brown, it was about destroying Peter Dingle. But I'm not the culprit. I was Pen's best friend.
Of course, the allegation, Peter, is that you killed your wife. Did you kill your wife?
When I first met Pen, she was a very arty type person, very creative, and loved being in the limelight. She was an actress, you know, and she just loved standing up in front of people and playing the fool and mucking around.
I'm Sally Aspinall from Rowena DCW. What do you want?
She had small parts in a number of different films.
Look, it's PC!
And then later, it was really creative writing that she focused on.
She was an environmentalist. She really strongly felt about the environment. And she had really strong values, and she lived those values.
No matter how good the modeller is, you can never guarantee they are going to be 100% safe.
Peter was an environmental toxicologist at Murdoch University, and he was giving a talk on pesticides and poisons in the environment at an organic growers meeting when Penelope first met him, and she was very taken with him. He was talking her lingo. And I think for Peter too, yeah, I think, you know, there was quite a strong and immediate attraction.
She was very much into magic realism, whereas Pete was more the grounded. So the balance was there between the two of them, I think. They were great dreamers.
They were always dreaming.
She idolised him. I mean, he was her hero, so that counted for a lot to us. Yeah. So Peter became a part of the family, and he wanted to be a part of the family, I think.
Is anybody measuring the levels in those houses?
As far as I know, there's no research in that area.
At the end of my honours, my supervisor and my mentor said, look, you need to get this stuff into the media.
That there are some potential dangers.
I got the opportunity to talk about some of my research because it was very topical.
Typically inside the air conditioning system, you've got huge amounts of dust building up.
I also started writing some booklets on sick homes and toxic chemicals in and around the home. And I was passionate about the whole concept of looking health from a holistic perspective. So I created what's called the Dingle Deal.
Dr. Peter Dingle has produced what he calls, somewhat predictably, the Dingle Deal.
Which stands for Diet, Environment, Attitude, Lifestyle.
Dingle obviously rings a bell. So
He's good talent, as they say, because he can come up with the goods, because he's articulate and because he's passionate and interesting.
A doctor will send you for chemo, radio and surgery. Now, I can say they overwhelmingly don't work because the science shows that.
He was also proactive, it has to be said, in offering himself for stories, and I know that happened on a number of occasions, but that's also due to his passion for the cause as well.
Penelope admired Peter tremendously. She was really quite in awe of Peter, and she really wanted to help his career and support his career.
And then I got to a stage where I was thinking, hold on, my career's on path now, I know where I'm going. I'm an academic at Murdoch University, I'm getting a little bit of public recognition now, I'm doing a little bit of speaking, and, things are going well, let's have our children.
This was the very first time that she actually mentioned Francine Scrayen, when she was talking about the fact that they were looking at having children but having some difficulties.
12th of July. Francine. Notes regarding homeopathic effects.
When Pen told me she was seeing Francine, I was a bit surprised at first, and I thought, oh, she wouldn't be my choice of a homeopath because I was studying at the time. I hadn't seen her myself, but some of the other students found her quite severe and rigorous and authoritarian, and I just thought, well, I don't think she would suit me, but maybe she suited Pen.
It was during 2001 that Penelope first developed symptoms of rectal bleeding. Those symptoms began to increase and were accompanied by changes in bowel movements, changes in developing pain, more frequent and severe episodes of pain, and also increased bleeding. Francine continued to monitor those changes, and it's not until December 2002 that she actually suggests to Penelope that she should go and see a medical practitioner. We knew nothing about this at the time. As far as we knew, Penelope was seeing Francine still for these fertility issues.
In February 2003, I got a call from a nurse, and they said, Penelope's just had an investigation and she'd just like you to come in. I had no idea. I had no idea anything was wrong. I got down there and there was a nurse there that I knew. She was talking about that Pen had a rectal cancer. Clearly I knew it was a life-threatening illness and that it had the potential to kill my best friend and my partner, my lover. What amazed me most was Pen was sitting there extremely calmly, and she was relaxed, and I was nervous and tense and thinking, trying to think ahead what to do and how do we deal with this.
February 23, 2003. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this health challenge.
Almost instinctually, I did a couple of active meditations with Pen where she was just laying on the bed and we just talked about it, and I calmly talked through the process and said, your body's feeling healthy. I started getting some literature and information about what we can do from a lifestyle perspective to help along the process. It was basically, let's look at some nutrition, make sure she's on a good diet, and we lined up to go see the specialist.
With rectal cancer, if you've got a stage 1 cancer, you've got a better than 95% cure rate. Penelope had quite advanced disease, but still she had a chance of being cured. This would involve her having some radiation treatment in addition to some chemotherapy, and then followed by having pretty major surgery to remove the cancer. I would typically get a person back the next week, talk to them again, and that's when we sort of started running into trouble because Penelope didn't want to come back to that first appointment, and it was like she just disappeared.
I took Penelope to about 7 or so different other doctors, and all of them urged Pen to have surgery, and they also offered some nutritional support and alternative cancer therapy as well. Penelope was adamant she was not going to have chemo and radio, and I didn't like the idea of chemo or radio either. From what I had read, what I could understand, it had an extremely low success rate.
He was actively searching for cures online. He was definitely, looking at alternative options, looking at research on cancer treatments.
March 29, 2003. Francine has a very strong intuitive urge that Peter has a very important contribution to make to cancer cure. The challenge I have is not coincidental to Pete's journey.
I tried to organise repeated outpatient appointments for her, but she just wouldn't attend. We tried ringing her, but we got no response. And then I did have a telephone conversation with her, and she made it pretty obvious to me that she appreciated what I'd done, but don't harass her anymore, that she really wanted to try this other treatment, and could I respect that? Penelope was embarking on a journey, and I don't think she knew where she was going. The problem for me was that I sort of knew where she was going, and I sort of knew how it was going to end up. And to me that was just really sad, and it seemed such a waste.